Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. This is CBC Windsor News at 6. Thanks for watching. Here are your top stories. Looking for a rapid COVID test? Well, they're harder to find than you might think. A runner's high, how encouraging signs and high fives helped fuel those running in the Detroit Marathon. And a water rescue. A man is pulled from the Detroit River as he tries to swim to Canada. Let's start with that rescue out of the river. It's the second time it's happened in a month. And this time a man was attempting to get from Detroit to Windsor. Dale Molnar has more.
A spokesperson for the Detroit Fire Department tells CBC News that around 3 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning, they received a call about a man in the Detroit River just outside the U.S. Post Office building on 4th Street in Detroit. They say he was yelling for help. About a half hour later, the Detroit fireboat pulled a man from the river and he was transported to hospital. The people at the Detroit Fire Department could not tell us what his condition was or why he was trying to swim across the river. Also, U.S. Customs and Border Protection also had no information on the issue. However, Detroit radio station WWJ reported that the man was trying to help his family and that he'd be okay. Now, the rescue happened in American waters, so Canadian officials were not involved. However, this is the second time in about a month that someone has tried to swim across the river. Just last month, a man was rescued on the American side after trying to swim from Dieppe Gardens to Detroit. The harbor master for Windsor tells CBC News that this is pretty dangerous. It's too dangerous to try and swim across the river because of the threat of hypothermia and because of the current. And of course, it is illegal. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Sad news out of the Detroit Marathon, which took place yesterday. A participant died while passing through the Windsor portion of the race. According to an official with the marathon, the runner was a 57-year-old American, and he suffered a medical emergency around the 8-kilometer mark. That would have put him on Riverside Drive, close to the Great Canadian Flag. He was one of 20,000 people taking part in the International Marathon and Half Marathon, which bridge Windsor and Detroit. It's been almost 5 years since the very first case of COVID-19 was reported. And since then, we've largely moved on with our lives, but the illness still spreads. And we're realizing a tool we've relied on for years to manage the disease might be more difficult to come by these days. So the health unit says it is no longer providing the public with a rapid COVID test. So I wanted to find out, how hard is it to get one now? Let's find out together. So let's start by making a few phone calls and see what we get. Hi there, I'm just calling to find out if your location has rapid COVID tests available.
No, we don't, sorry. No, we don't.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so that's 3 pharmacies. They say they got none. Let's hit the road and see what we can find in person. Nothing here. Okay, another pharmacy, and I'm being told, no, they do not have them. They do not plan on restocking. All right, so I have stopped at 3 different pharmacies, and no luck. This is so tricky because we're told that if we think we have symptoms, we should get tested, but how do we do that if we can't get our hands on a test? Okay, we had no luck on our little outdoor adventure, but we're gonna try one more thing. So let's see if we can order something online. Okay, so we're trying Amazon first. There are a whole bunch of books that are coming up, but no actual tests. Order rapid COVID test online. The rapid test is coming up as out of stock online under a lot of different stores. I was able to find a test that I could order through Shoppers Drug Mart. It'll take 3 to 5 business days under standard shipping, which you still have to pay for. Or you can also do express shipping, but that could still take up to 4 days to get your test. So if you're experiencing symptoms right now, it could take a while before you actually get your hands on a test. So the next thing I wanted to know was, how much do we still need to worry about COVID? How prevalent is it? So I checked out the Public Health Ontario website, and they show you the latest numbers according to the most recent week that they've tracked. So in this case, it's earlier in October. So that particular week, there were 94 outbreaks across Ontario. There were more than 700 people in hospital that week, and 4 people died within the span of that week. Now, what they don't tell you is they don't tell you how many cases there were reported in that week, because they just don't really do that anymore. So definitely still out there. Some people are still eligible for publicly funded tests through their doctor, through their pharmacy, a senior, somebody who lives in a long-term care home. But for the rest of us, it's clearly a lot more challenging. So if you do want to have one on hand for if and when you might need one, it's probably best to order some in advance. And we did hear from an audience member who told us that on their search for a test, they were able to order a test online through a local company and were able to get their hands on a test on the same day. Colette Kennedy joins us now for a look at our weather forecast. But before we look ahead, Colette, let's look back at this weekend because it was beautiful.
Fantastic.
The sun was shining, and I took my son to a pumpkin patch. It was just the perfect weather for it. What did you get up to?
Oh, it was the perfect weather for that. That sounds so nice. You know what? I was with a group of my cousins. We all traveled to Grand Bend, so there were 8 of us total, mostly from Windsor, a couple from London. And we just had the most fantastic time, just hanging around, walking the beach, conditions you'd expect in maybe September, not mid-October, or as we're getting even towards the end of the month. So we also played some golf, although I say that loosely because my game is so bad. But let me just show you that these temperatures, clearly not just in southern Ontario, these temperatures and some incredible numbers. Minneapolis, 29 degrees. Oh, but what's this? Some teens a little further north, but not that far away. That's a little bit of a hint or preview as to what's to come, because we do have colder air that's going to move in. We got another day to enjoy it, probably almost 2 days really before that changeover. So the current reading in Windsor, 25 degrees, 23 Chatham, Kent, and for Sarnia as well, and London coming into at that 23. Tiny bit of humidity too. You can add a couple for in terms of the humidex or how it feels, putting it up to about 25 for London. The sustained winds, they're generally light, but that's not going to be the case as we move forward. So tomorrow through much of the day, things will remain on the lighter side, at least in the morning, and then picking up to about 30 kilometers in the afternoon. But then it's Tuesday night, overnight, and into early Wednesday when we'll find those winds much gustier, and so we'll have some of those gusts over 40, perhaps even exceeding 50 kilometers an hour. Chatham, Kent, this one wants to bring you in, and Goddard, it's just over 60, and that's ahead of the cold front. The winds will still be from the south, but what happens is once that front goes through, that's when we're going to find those winds shifting to the northwest, and that allows that cooler air to filter in. Cold front here driving all these lightning strikes you're seeing through the heart of Kansas, and then there's the energy further north, and there's really kind of a transfer of energy here, and this sort of comes together, and that's our frontal boundary. Now it is moisture laden closer to the center of the low, but much of that is northeastern Ontario and eastern Ontario. So on the tail end, yeah, the front goes through. Yes, it'll be breezy, but just some spotty showers, pretty isolated in terms of what we'll get into southwestern Ontario. And the good news is that we'll actually then kind of clear out as we get into Thursday. So Wednesday, that transition day. Tonight, 10 degrees. Mild again tomorrow in that southerly flow, a high of 24. We were up to 25 today. And there you go. For Wednesday, we start to transition. Once those winds turn to the northwest, check out the temperature Wednesday night down to 3 degrees. And there you go, Katerina. Hey, back to seasonal by Thursday.
Exactly. We got to enjoy the high while we can.
That's right.
Thanks for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
Let's turn now to the University of Windsor. Palestinian students there say some progress has been made since a controversial agreement with the institution. In July, a 2-month encampment on campus had ended after that deal was reached. However, some in the Jewish community said parts of the deal were anti-Semitic. Today, a member of the Liberation Zone listed some items from the deal that have already materialized. The university has created an anti-oppression website. A meeting between Palestinians and a university vice president has happened, investing more in scholarships for refugees of war, and also the hiring of a Palestinian student support advisor.
This is what the agreement has operationalized so far, with bigger tasks such as financial disclosure still in progress, and we look forward to having a university with more transparency. Surely, it's not this, an act of increased democratization of the university, that opponents of the agreement think is so harmful. So am I missing something? Where is the harm?
The University of Windsor Students Alliance president points out that a Jewish student advisor position has also been created since the encampment ended. The Detroit Free Press Marathon is a 47-year-old tradition that ties Windsor and Detroit. And yesterday, more than 20,000 people took part in the international marathon and half marathon that runs through both cities. Now, while the runners take center stage in the event, the people on the sidelines shouldn't be overlooked because they are the cheerleaders. Many are family and friends of racers, but others are strangers, and they all woke up early to shout words of encouragement and put some pep in the steps of runners. Take a look.
Well, we're here to support their mom and my wife, Michelle. Yeah. And this is her, I'm going to say, at least 10th time running this race.
I was like, you guys didn't make it.
We did. Go, Mama. Keep running.
My music doesn't work.
Yay! I saw, I'm gonna cry again. I saw that lady going to her family. So it was sweet. Yeah. I'm excited. This is fun. It's the first time my son's done this, so we've never been out here before.
Fire up! Yeah! Got it!
I'm feeling so excited. I wish I was out there with them. Look how awesome they are.
Yeah.
You're great! You are great! You know what? It's the best feeling in the world because everyone around here supports everybody. Where else do you get a community like this? We're all one family, right? Go! See? It's wonderful. You can't, the excitement, the joy, the sense of accomplishment, why not?
Yeah, you're doing it!
I am actually preparing for the half marathon. I want to run it next year. This is just a warm-up, motivation to do it next year. Well, it says run if you think I'm hot. And it's actually a copy of someone who used it when I was running the Toronto Marathon. And I thought about it for the next 2 kilometers while I was running, and I'm like, these people need this motivation today. Definitely made me laugh and smile, and it got my mind off of my legs completely burning out and completely being tired. Yeah. And just now, like, we've got so many smiles.
So hot.
Thank you. Just like that one. We got so many smiles, and it's made my day. I'm so happy.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Check out that outfit. The outfits are great. Love the shorts. Excellent. Love it.
A lot of people, you know, they might not have someone here cheering for them, so why not me do that for them?
And tell me, what does your sign say?
Well, if you know, you know. And if you don't know, good luck today. It's bringing a lot of smiles to people and making eye contact with them, making them laugh. They need it, right? Like, we all need to laugh, so why not?
The story about the Paris. When I left Germany 36 years ago, my friends gave me this as a farewell gift. Yeah. That's what it is.
Okay, and why are you here with it today?
To cheer on my friends, my running group, my river group, Mountain Park runners, all the people here, to put a smile in their face.
Those are my kids, that's my family. They are here to cheer all the runners on. Kids are fans of Star Wars, so of course, you know, they gotta play the Star Wars music. May the force be with you, folks! Let's go! I've run marathons, I've done 6 continents, and every time I run a marathon, I see runners, and it's amazing. We have to cheer them on because when every muscle is breaking down, that one high five, that one cheer can do some amazing things.
You can do it! You can do it! You can do it!
You were committed to being here until the end.
I was committed to being here till the end.
You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. Woo, woo.
I've been that person who's been the last one, and what it means to have somebody just cheer you on, have a funny sign, have a smile, wear something goofy, and just to have that energy all the way through is worth it.
I love seeing that support at the very end for that very last runner. And I ran the marathon, well, the half marathon a couple years ago, and it was those cheerleaders, it was all that support that helped us get across the finish line. Look at that beautiful fall foliage. I also have to give a special shout out because Jacob Barker, our video producer, he ran his very first marathon yesterday. And our switcher director for the TV show, Rob Evans, he actually came in second in the marathon in his age category. Absolute rock stars. Loved seeing that. Stay with us. We have more after the break. Welcome back. Several women's soccer players, including some from Canada, are questioning FIFA's partnership with the Saudi oil company. But first, we have a report from Jerusalem after overnight Israeli strikes in Lebanon.
I'm Sasha Petrusik in Jerusalem, where there's renewed pressure on Israel for diplomacy to stop the fighting. There was plenty of fighting across Lebanon as Israel pounded various sites that it says housed a bank that Hezbollah uses to fund its fighting, and also that Iran uses to help back Hezbollah, to funnel money into the country. This has been going on all night long, but it's also been hitting residential areas, especially in the suburbs of Beirut, because the bank itself is usually housed in the bottom of apartment buildings. Many average Lebanese also use the bank, so it's having a much broader impact. But Israel is making no apologies for it. It says it will continue this fight and wants to cut off the funds to Hezbollah as it fights Hezbollah on the ground in the south and from the air throughout Lebanon. There's been an attempt by the Americans to try to stop all of that, a renewed attempt which faltered way back a few weeks ago, months ago, but is now being picked up again. The U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is expected here within the next day or so to make his case to Israel. And there's another envoy from the White House, Amos Hochstein, who is in Beirut trying to mediate talks between the Lebanese and Israel to try to come up with some sort of a ceasefire. This is what he had to say today.
I stood at this very podium, time after time, including as recently as August, and cautioned about the urgency. A resolution was possible, but it was rejected, and the situation has escalated out of control as we feared that it could.
There's been a report out of the U.S. that Israel has given its demands for any ceasefire to the Americans, and that would include, as far as Lebanon is concerned, that Israel be allowed to send its ground forces into Lebanon anytime to deal with Hezbollah, and that it have free reign of the entire airspace over Lebanon to go after Hezbollah just like it is doing now. That doesn't sound like the recipe for a ceasefire, but the Americans are pushing harder and harder to get one. Sasha Petrusek, CBC News in Jerusalem.
I'm Sarah Levitt in Montreal. More than 100 women's soccer players are slamming a deal that FIFA has made with a Saudi Arabian oil company called Saudi Aramco. It is majority owned by the government of Saudi Arabia. In the letter, the women say that it is unacceptable, that it goes against the values of soccer, particularly given Saudi Arabia's track record when it comes to human rights for women and, of course, for 2S LGBTQ plus people. They also have concerns about the environmental impact that this deal has, given that the company is an oil company.
I believe in the power of football and in sport in general to make the world a better place. But it's important that we stand up for those values, even if a sponsor offers a lot of money.
There are also Canadian signatories, including current Team Canada captain Jessie Fleming, as well as former Team Canada goaltender Aaron McLeod. And for McLeod, she says this is personal. She is openly gay.
Thinking of someone like myself, even traveling to go watch those games would kind of not be an option, you know.
FIFA, in the meantime, has said that it has a human rights policy that's strict, that inclusivity is key, and they've made major efforts in that direction. They also released this statement. FIFA values its partnership with Aramco and its many other commercial and rights partners. Sponsorship revenues generated by FIFA are reinvested back into the game at all levels, and investment in women's football continues to increase. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
We've got more news after the break. Stay with us. Some Rogers customers are going public with a complaint about the communications and media company. They are unhappy with fee hikes that were introduced after they signed 2-year contracts they thought came with a guaranteed price. Erica Johnson reports.
This is the box.
Kathy Cooper has 6 TV boxes that give her and her family access to cable and streaming apps. So she wasn't happy to learn that Rogers was upping the monthly price on all but one of them by $7 a piece.
It's not right. They are gouging people, and people are hurting today.
Cooper signed a 2-year Rogers contract for TV and internet in June, says she was guaranteed a price. But when she called to complain about her bills shooting up, a Rogers rep told her price guarantees do not apply to rental equipment like TV boxes.
All I get is the same over and over again. We have legal right to charge for our equipment. That's it.
Other customers tell Go Public they too felt misled when they signed 2-year contracts, thinking the monthly price was guaranteed, calling it a cash grab and shady.
It's obviously a bait and switch here. So you sign up, you lock in, and then suddenly you're kind of out of luck.
This tech policy expert says it's unfair for Rogers to quote one price and charge another.
I think consumers have a very reasonable expectation that the terms of that 2-year contract aren't going to change in that time frame.
Rogers declined an interview request. In a statement, a spokesperson repeated Rogers is allowed to change the monthly rate to rent equipment and said the company was making record investments in technology. Canada's Competition Bureau opposed Rogers buying Shaw last year and says since the merger, it's received a significant number of complaints about price increases, although Rogers says its TV and internet bundles have come down 5%.
We are currently experiencing higher than normal call volumes.
Meanwhile, Cooper sent back 2 TV boxes to cut costs and, after complaining a lot, got a $315 credit.
She did look into canceling her contract, but the penalty for that, $720. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Thank you so much for watching. That is it from us. Enjoy your evening, and we will see you back here tomorrow.